Why don't you take us away about Tampa Bay just Stanley Cup? Take us away, man.
Yeah. Well, the Stanley Cup is over. Fuck. What the fuck, dude? We needed a Game 7.
I agree.
It's always sad to see it go like this. It seemed like just the other day it started in August. It's fucking about to be October. But that was a fast fucking playoffs. Let's just go through the games here. Game 1, the Stars came out ablazing. They won 4-1. As Traden would say, utter domination. They were all over the puck. They seemed to be more rested. Tampa had to go a couple extra games in their series. But then we see Game 2, Tampa had their foot on the gas. They end up winning that in a close one, 3-2, but they were up 3-1 most of the game. Stars scored in the third period, and I thought actually we were going to see a comeback, but we didn't. Game 3, Tampa just beat fuck out of the Stars. They were up 4-0 in the first, I believe, and they ended up winning that one 5-2. Just one of those games that you erase out of your mind, throw it away. Game 4, a little controversial call in overtime. I believe double overtime. We'll get into it, but the Stars kind of got fucked that game. They lost in overtime, and after that, they were down 3-1 in the series. Game 5 was another battle. Tampa was up most of the time, seemed to be dominating, like they were going to pull this off. Of course, Scory Perry comes through, gets the overtime goal after he was skating around screaming in Hedman's face like a dog on the ice. And tonight, Game 6, unfortunately, the series has ended. Tampa completely dominated this game. They win 2-0. They had the puck the whole fucking game. It was one of those games, like, if you're not a Tampa fan or you're not a fan of either team, want to see good fucking, the deal was sealed by Tampa. Complete domination. Boring to watch. Fucking, we needed a Game 7. Trade in. Your head's bouncing all over the place. Which game to you stuck out the most of this series?
That's a good question. Well, the controversial game, which would have been Game 3. That one was that Game 3? No, Game 4. Excuse me. That one was fairly controversial only because Jamie Benn. That's not a penalty. You should not be in the box for that. I will say this: if it wasn't for a controversial call in the third period, the Dallas Stars wouldn't have tied the game. So it was kind of like a makeup call, but I'm sorry, I don't care if it's a makeup call or not. You can't make that call in the Stanley Cup final.
Which call was that? The one in the third period?
I can't remember what it was. I know that forget what it was, but I know that it was
benefited the Stars.
Benefited the Stars enough for them to take the tie it up.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, it's coming back to me.
The Game 5 was pretty exciting. The double OT was extremely exciting. But then I really look at Game 6, and I could tell by the minute the puck dropped, then the first 5 minutes, it's going to be over. I mean, Tampa was swallowing up the middle of the ice. Dallas could not pass to save their lives. It was really frustrating to watch as someone who wanted to see a Game 7, but it also, as a hockey fan, I appreciated if I didn't already appreciate it, at that moment I knew Tampa Bay is like where every team needs to be if they want to become Stanley Cup champions. They have the grit, they have the talent, they have the determination, have the ability to close out a series when it matters the most, and they did.
Yeah, tonight the Stars kind of look like how the Kings have the last 2 years. Just like can't make a fucking pass, not using the boards, not even getting shots on fucking power plays when it matters in the third period. But, the Stars, they've kind of proved a lot of people wrong. A lot of people didn't even see them get near. James, you've covered them like our whole time covering these playoffs. What are the positives you got out of the Stars in their run that came up short?
I think the emergence of talent from Miro Heiskanen. I mean, that guy, he's young. and he's going to be playing for the Stars. He should be playing for the Stars for a long time, and he's going to be a staple of that defense. But it's just the fact that a team that wasn't expected to go anywhere really made a run all of the Stanley Cup, and I think that goes to show how anything can happen in the NHL. It's not rigged like basketball. Anything, it play better if the puck bounces your direction. You're going to win. You're going to move on, and that's really cool to see. It's not always about skill. Sometimes it's about luck, but that's what makes it exciting.
Yeah, I would say Heiskanen definitely stepped up. A lot of their depth guys. Well, now we would call them depth guys now because they pulled through in the playoffs for them when it mattered most. And it kind of reminds me of football a little bit. Like, you need a little bit of luck in the playoffs. Like, yeah, you can be a dominant team, but just like football, hockey, you need some of that puck luck. You need a little bit of luck. You need a little, garbage goal scored in overtime like Perry got in that Game 5. Some players on the Lightning that stuck out. Hedman, of course, wins the Conn Smythe. Tyler, we're talking all these names of the trophies. Do you know what the Conn Smythe trophy is?
That one I do know, yeah.
What is it?
It's the MVP of the playoffs.
Okay, there we go.
Aced it.
Yeah, good job, Tyler. Hedman won the Conn Smythe. I think he deserved it. That was either him or Point, actually, or even Vasilevsky, the goalie. Who did you think was going to get the Conn Smythe? And if it was Hedman, then what's your reasoning behind it?
Yeah, I honestly thought it was a toss-up between Hedman and Point. I do think Hedman did deserve it. I just think I think he contributed to the overall success of this team for the playoffs just more consistently. I think Point did. I think through maybe the first 2 rounds, you think Point was going to run away with it. But, I mean, Hedman had an amazing final. And honestly, every single series was just so good. 10 goals scored, which I think is the record for a defenseman or close to it. Trayden, you can fact check me on that one. But I think it was a very well-deserved Conn Smythe trophy for Victor Hedman.
Yeah, he was big wheeling all over the ice. Did you see him when he shook Bettman's hand, dude? I didn't realize he's how much of a fucking monster he is, dude. He's like almost 7 foot, like fucking huge.
He's a big boy.
Yeah, I'd like to see him and Chara go toe to toe, but who knows if we'll ever see that if Chara is even in this league anymore. Notable players on the Stars: Jamie Benn. He played well. He did most of the little things right. I think he could have done better, but Klingberg was their Hedman, their top D-man. Similar description I would say about Ben. Like, he did well. He's done a lot better in all this other series. He didn't do as well as he should. Perry kind of stuck out this series. Literally kept him alive after that Game 5. Just ratting around like he does. I think if the Stars were to push it to a Game 7, everything's up for grabs, of course. And if they were to win it, I would give Hudobin the Conn Smythe. He's the guy that almost carried them all the way through, but he didn't. But did you see also when they did win the cup, they all were around Bettman, and then he said, "I got them before we hand out, like, I got this," or whatever. He gives a little speech, and then all of a sudden, Steven Stamkos just pops up behind him, fully uniformed and everything, and then he just grabs the cup and just starts skating around, kissing it. That was pretty good moment. What would you think? What would you say about that, Trayden?
I thought that moment was fantastic. I want to take this moment for that moment. I want to take this moment to say I appreciated the fact that the Tampa Bay took a picture with Gary Bettman. I know that many hockey fans are, and I guess generally sports fans in general tend to dislike the general managers of their respective favorite sports. I'm not one of them. I give 100% kudos to Gary Bettman. He was integral into getting us the bubble and to getting us the Stanley Cup to be awarded at all. And I thought that was really great that Tampa it seemed like they almost gave him a little bit of a thank you by involving him in that ceremony, in that picture. And I thought that was really special. And then to bring up Stamkos like that, I thought was really, really amazing. That guy has battled through so many injuries in his career. He's been with the Tampa Bay Lightning since he was drafted 12 years ago. He's been captain with them for 7 years now. and he's been a captain of a team that is consistently good and has been consistently good for so long. And I know that it ate him up that he couldn't be involved in the actual gameplay as much as he wished he could have. But it was pretty special that he got to be involved with the ceremony for sure.
As the Canadians would say, it's what it's all about, trading. And I don't know if we even mentioned on the last episode, was it game 4 that he actually did, and like his first shot fucking scores.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, unfortunately, he either re-aggravated whatever's going on or got a different injury. But, at least he literally went in, played a shift, contributed to that win. And I bet their whole team was super pumped about it. But yeah, man, it's sad. Like you said, too, about Bettman, like without him, they were on the brink of just like saying, fuck it, the season's over. We're not going to do it. And, Bettman kind of pushed through it, got everything to work, 100% virus-free in the bubble. And they fucking now have the Stanley Cup. They could go show it. They can go back home, show it to their family. They're going to be in Florida. They're probably going to be running rampant all over the bars, all over the fucking place with that. Florida doesn't give a shit about the virus, I don't think, as we've seen with the Miami Marlins, etc. But those are my thoughts on this Stanley Cup final.
I have to ask you guys. This question has been asked, from pundits and a bunch of other news media, and I want to ask you guys, and I want to start with James. Do you think that this Stanley Cup will forever be the hardest Stanley Cup to have ever been won?
Yes. Reason being, there's a lot of different circumstances that every team had to go through to get to where they are. And on top of that, it was almost equal footing all the way around, just because they were all in the same place. There wasn't much travel going on. Everybody had the same, except for that one time where they traveled from Calgary to, or whatever it was. Yeah. Other than that, they all pretty much were in the same spot at the same time. So there was no travel. Everybody got the same amount of rest. There was no home ice advantage whatsoever. It was everybody. It was just who's the better team,
right.
And that was that. So I think that's why it's a hard to win.
What about you?
Yeah, I would agree. I think, the competition of the Stanley Cup playoffs, was there, but I think what was a lot different this year, of course, is, no fans. So you have to bring your own energy to the game, which I think without fans is a lot different, and it's a lot more difficult, especially for guys that have been around for so long. If anyone has been a part of has gone to a Stanley Cup playoff game, it's one of the most electric atmospheres you'll be a part of, and I know that the players feed off of that. So I think that's one way that it was more difficult. And also being away from their family and having to be, in this isolated bubble away from everybody else for such a long time. I think emotionally and mentally that takes a toll as well. I think that's something I think people kind of take for granted, don't really think about too much. So yeah, I think there's a lot of other components to it were so unique and so unprecedented that I would agree. It probably was one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult Stanley Cup to win.
Yeah, Eric?
Yeah, I agree with everything said. There's no point of me repeating what James and Tyler just said, but exactly what they just said.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I think the fact that you're sleeping in your own bed and everyone's on the same playing field is definitely makes it the hardest one. And again, so I'm going to pretty much end my talk about the playoffs this year by saying I really want to thank the NHL for everything that they did to bring us the bubble. I thought it was fantastic. The hockey, and going back to Tyler's point, bringing your own energy. I forgot there wasn't fans 5 minutes into the first Oilers game. I forgot that there weren't fans because the hockey was fantastic. I thought the finals could have been were going to be a little bit more lackluster than they were last year. I didn't think that. That's maybe last game, but that wasn't really an issue with fans. It was just one team decided not to show up. You look at the other games, but 2 went to overtime and they were high octane. exciting games, and I just appreciate the players for everything they brought to the table, and going into a bubble, being away from their families for so long, and even though it didn't end up the way I would have liked to see it, I would have liked to see the Oilers go a bit further. I do appreciate the fact that the best teams in each conference did truly deserve to be there, and the one who won definitely deserved to be there, and I'm going to end it on that.
Yeah. I will end this NHL segment with a little random kind of funny story that my friend told me recently. One day he was out this was like a few years ago, he was out in Huntington Beach at the bar called the Bungalow. It's just like a big type of bar. But as he's leaving, he sees like a group of like dudes, and there's fucking two guys like rolling around, wrestling in the dirt in their white shirts, super nice clothes. And he kind of like gets a little glimpse. He's walking out. It was fucking Perry on the ground, dude, wrestling his buddy. I think it was like maybe one of the Black Aces of the Ducks, like one of their rookies. But he just sees Perry like rolling around in his white shirt in the dirt, just fucking dicking around. I thought that was kind of a funny story of just all people. It's fucking Corey Perry, always involved in just doing ratty type of maneuvers, fucking wrestling in his white shirt. But yeah, I wouldn't expect anything less of that guy. But yeah, that's kind of what I got on the NHL Stanley Cup Finals this week.
Right. Well, Eric, thank you for taking us and finishing up the Stanley Cup playoffs. We do have a lot more hockey to talk about. There's going to be the start of trade, excuse me. Free agency is going to start to come up, so I'll be talking a little bit about that when it comes up. But for now, that's the wrap on hockey.